This week on Ikulu Weekly, we bring you President William Ruto's third State of the Nation address, among other activities of the week. The head of state began the week by opening the 14th International Association of Refugees and Migration Judges World Conference in Nairobi, where he urged judges to uphold fairness, courage and independence in ensuring that every refugee and migrant is heard and treated with dignity. Reaffirming Kenya's long-standing humanitarian commitment, the president noted that nearly 800,000 refugees and asylum seekers now call Kenya home, placing the country among the world's largest host nations. President Ruto also held talks with China Communications Construction Company President Zhang Bingman. CRBC, a subsidiary of the corporation, is set to commence the dualling of the 170-kilometer Rironi-Naivasha-Mau Summit Road on November 28, 2025. This project marks a major milestone in modernizing the northern corridor, easing decades of gridlock, boosting trade and enhancing safety. The president further highlighted key infrastructure projects in the pipeline, including the extension of the railway to Kisumu and Malaba, as well as the construction of the Galana Dam in Tana River County. Midweek, President Ruto presided over the award of a charter to Gretsa University, celebrating the growing impact of private universities in expanding access to higher learning. He also met Marubeni Corporation Chairman Masumi Kakinoki. The company, present in Kenya since 1961, announced expansion into e-mobility, pharmaceuticals, cybersecurity and e-commerce, demonstrating confidence in Kenya's stable and diverse investment climate. Reinforcing Kenya's commitment to regional peace, the president hosted the South Sudan Council of Churches at State House, Nairobi. The delegation briefed him on the peace efforts in southern Sudan, with discussions centered on dialogue, the constitution-making process, and the preparations for the 2026 elections. Later, the head of state met World Bank Africa Group 1 Executive Director Zarau Kibwe, expressing gratitude for the bank's continued support to Kenya's development agenda, including the establishment of the National Infrastructure Fund. The World Bank also backed Kenya's plan to construct 50 mega dams to expand irrigation by 2.5 million acres, critical for boosting agricultural productivity and ensuring long-term food security. In the health sector, President Ruto presided over the handover of ambulances and essential medical supplies from the World Health Organization to 7 national referral hospitals and the National Emergency Response Center.
Kenya's commitment to universal health coverage rests on a simple but powerful truth: every life matters.
The head of state also awarded a charter to Amref International University in Kiambu County, an institution serving 3,800 learners from 32 countries, 70% of them women. He commended the university for advancing women leadership in health and for its commitment to innovation in training healthcare professionals. Towards the end of the week, President Ruto hosted the Taxpayers' Dinner at State House, Nairobi, marking 30 years of the Kenya Revenue Authority and 20 years of Taxpayers' Day. The president also held talks with Azerbaijan's Defense Industry Minister Vuga Mustafayev, exploring avenues to deepen long-standing ties and expand cooperation in areas of mutual benefit. The week culminated with President Ruto delivering the State of the Nation address in Parliament, accompanied by the submission of 3 constitutional reports on national values, international obligations, and the state of national security. In his address, the president affirmed that Kenya's transformation over the past 3 years is evident, from new homes and expanded job opportunities to stabilized inflation and a strengthened shilling.
At a time like this, in 2022, Kenya was in distress. Inflation had soared almost to double digits. Foreign reserves had hit historic lows. Debt service consumed more than half of our revenues. Confidence, both local and foreign, had waned. international analysts warned that it was no longer a question of if, but when Kenya would default. Within that context, we acted. We restored fiscal discipline. We eliminated wasteful subsidies. We rationalized public expenditure.
Looking ahead, he outlined the next phase of Kenya's transformation agenda: massive investments in engineering and technology education, construction of 50 megadams, generation of 10,000 megawatts of energy, development of 28,000 kilometers of roads, and expanded airport and port capacity. To ensure sustainable long-term financing, the president announced the establishment of the National Infrastructure Fund and a sovereign wealth fund.
There is need to deploy our national assets available to us in creating public-private partnerships that will crowd in the enormous pool of private sector resources available regionally and globally. This is why we will establish the National Infrastructure Fund, whose architecture will be underpinned by the reforms in the Government-Owned Enterprises Bill.
The head of state also assented to the county government's Additional Allocations Bill 2025, the Capital Markets Amendment Bill 2025, the Provisional Collection of Taxes and Duties Repeal Bill 2025, and the Government-Owned Enterprise Bill 2025. Thereafter, the head of state presided over the third graduation ceremony of the National Defence University Kenya in Lanet, Nakuru County, where he commended the institution for its growing role in shaping Kenya's defence strategy, research, and military professionalism. That's it on Ikulu Weekly. Do join us next week for more.
We must never forget where we have come from, and the time has come, over a century later, to write a new story of Kenya's historic progress on the tracks of railway connectivity.
We rehabilitated all the other stations in Kenya. We rehabilitated Kisumu station. We did the Nanyuki station. We have done Nyahururu, we have done Olkalau, we have done Gilgil, we have done Nairobi stations, you know, we have done most of them. But imagine, Kilometer Zero was not done. That is everywhere, everything that you see, the existence of railway system in Kenya. That is where we began. And we requested our engineers to come up with a design, on some designs that would bring back the kind of memories that we had those days when Mombasa people, when the Kenyans were going to Mombasa.
Hii kitu imetuokolea tu sana. Unaona kama like from here to Miritini, jam kitu ya kwanza. Hii kitu ikianza kuenda ndio hivyo. Kama ni kuchelewa, manzi hawezi chelewa. So long as we on time.
Ilikuwa ni gharama kubwa sana. Lakini sasa kwa vile imekuja hapa karibu, at least ile gharama itapungua kiasi kwa msafiri wa mwenye anatumia SGR. Hiyo itasaidia sana. Kwanza imesaidia sana wananchi.
What we have done in this project is connecting the Mombasa CBD to the Mombasa SGR terminus by rail, such that passengers can come with SGR or go with SGR to Nairobi, and from Nairobi to come to the Mombasa CBD. This means that there is no hassle at the station. You move straight from the SGR to the meter gauge train, a seamless connection to the Mombasa CBD. There was an existing line, 100 years old, between Mombasa and Miritini, which continues all the way up to Nairobi. And we have rehabilitated the 13.8 kilometers of that line up to Miritini from Mombasa. Then we have constructed a new line, 2.8 kilometers long, from Miritini to the new terminus, the SGR terminus, which is a completely new line and with high speeds.
Why we did this commuter line was to save our customers in Mombasa who are coming in and out of Mombasa by having a commuter system that is efficient, that supports wananchi, that supports the local people, our own brothers and sisters, our mothers, our children and our fathers, who are actually getting convenience. Some of them are doing business in Voi, others are doing it in Makindu, others are doing it somewhere in Nairobi. So what we are saying, this is a bottom-up economy, because instead of charging them more, we charge them less, and they enjoy convenience of the service from government. You are telling this person, tomorrow you have something to spend. You can still feed your child, you can still buy lunch, you can still enjoy something in Mombasa. I mean, you can go to a beach and you enjoy a nasi or something. That is how this bottom-up economy works.
Kuna wale wageni wakitoka sehemu za Nairobi na sehemu zingine, wakifika SGR ile ya Miritini, usafiri unakuwa ni shida. Maka watafute taksi, waweze wakafikishwa mjini hapa katikati ya mji wa Mombasa. So kwao ilikuwa ni stress. Lakini kwa sababu
and this is live broadcast.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Morning.
Good morning, my brother.
You had good rest.
Very good weather. Did you enjoy Nairobi at night? Thank you. Thank
You
you.
managed to go just everywhere this morning without any problem.
This is our CDF. YCDF, Army Commander, Air Force Commander,
Morning, sir.
Navy Commander, General James. Welcome.
You did a walk.
guard of honor, mounted by Kenya Army, present and ready to execute its duty. Your Excellency, may I have the permission to march at the guard of honor, sir? Guard of honor,
How are you? And welcome to Kenya. Yes, sir. Hello, how are you? Welcome to Kenya. How are you? Welcome to Kenya. Is it your first time? Oh, okay.
Good morning, Excellency.
Good morning, Ambassador. How are you?
Meeting you again.